Hello, everyone. Today I have a very special guest with us at Resolute Software. Her name is Pavlina Yanakieva, and she is CEO and Executive Director of Bulgaria Innovation Hub. Hello, Polly. How are you?
Hi, Vessi. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Okay, so today we want to tell you more about a very special project that we were able to do in the past couple of months. And in that, I would like to say that it's implementing Salesforce and more specifically NPSP, or Non-Product Success Pack for BIH especially. So first of all, before we get into the technical and deep stuff, which I'm always interested to talk about, I would like to know more about BIH. And Polly, if you could just tell us more about the work that you do and the initiatives that you have.
Again, thanks for the opportunity to work with you and your team, Vessi. I'm thanking Resolute Software for providing an incredible opportunity for BIH, Bulgaria Innovation Hub, to streamline our operations. We'll get into the details, but it's been an immense pleasure working with Vessi. So I'm truly humbled and grateful for being here today. BIH, or Bulgaria Innovation Hub, was a passion project that was founded by 4 friends about 4.5 years ago. We are a nonprofit organization with the mission to elevate Bulgarian and Eastern European technology startups to global leadership, provide support, knowledge exchange, and network access to early stage technology companies from the region who are aiming to get access to the US market. On the flip side, we also work really hard on promoting Bulgaria and the region as a technology innovation hub among the VC community. So we're kind of like a dual mission organization, and it's been an incredible labor of love the last 4.5 years, and this partnership is really, it has an amazing impact on our operations, for which I'm grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I want to take you back a few months before we actually met and spent quite some time together. But what were the challenges that made you say, okay, we need to solve this and we need to implement something or do something with our internal operations, and then decided to implement Salesforce? So what were the challenges that you were facing before that?
Oh boy, where do I start, right? So BIH, even though we are set up as a nonprofit, we're kind of like a lean startup, if you will, a smaller team of 4 with the back and support of, army of volunteers and interns, mentors, etc. So for us as a small team, small organization, the challenge was always, there were multiple challenges, as I mentioned, from fundraising and other things. But one of the big ones for me as, the executive director, being responsible not only for strategy, but also for the day-to-day operations, was data management. How do we run successful campaigns? How do we take all this information that we obtain from the companies when we run campaigns for our program, our accelerator program? How do we manage that data? How do we process reports faster when it comes to making decisions with the board? So it's been quite a difficult journey, because when you have a small team, you wear multiple hats, plenty of responsibilities to worry about, again, as I mentioned, from operational to strategy, program management, donor management. And when you don't have the right tools, it's a challenge. So, living in Excel and Google Docs and multiple platforms, for me personally, as the one handling all that, was a big challenge.
I want to talk more about the project implementation, the before and the after, and everything that happened prior to the months of the decision to work with us. Can you tell me more about that part of the process?
Yeah. Well, about 3.5 years ago, when I first came across the product NPSP, Salesforce for nonprofit, I was extremely excited, and everything I saw about the product was pretty much checking all the items on my checklist for our young organization. And at that point, we started a search for implementation partners. And it turned out to be the most difficult part of the process because the larger consulting companies didn't want to work with the smaller nonprofits like us. And then, smaller ones were hard to find. So when the contact with Resolute came about, from the very beginning, the very first introduction and interaction with the team, I was extremely confident and comfortable with the way the conversation was going, the way the process was set up and explained. So a few minutes into the conversation, I already knew that we found our partner, and really excited to be working with you on this really, really mission critical project for us. To touch on the subject of before, our implementation before was a challenging process, or I should say, multiple processes overlapping, multiple sources of data storage and analytics, very fragmented internal structure, or lack of such. And so I knew that we need to get to the point where we set something in place that is going to support our growth, because we're very ambitious in our approach. We not only want to continue supporting these young companies, but we have a greater vision. We want to be the bridge between the Bulgarian and Eastern European ecosystem and the US, not just Silicon Valley. So in order to do that and accomplish our goals, we need to have good partners, and we need to have good, solid processes. And so really this interaction or this implementation has been setting us for success. So I'm very excited about it.
Okay, so when we talk about the implementation process itself, which I was involved in, can you tell us more about your journey and your experience during the implementation process? How did you feel? Anything specific that you would like to say about the implementation?
Well, where do I start? I feel grateful. I am truly grateful, again, to the entire team at Resolute and you, Vessi, because you've made this entire journey incredibly pleasant is not the right word, but it was incredibly simplified. It was very structured. Your ability to communicate and, take down that complex technical content and, synthesize it to very simple steps. Your ability to manage me in the process and, and our small team truly made an impact because, as I mentioned earlier, there are plenty of responsibilities and things on my plate. So even though it was a great opportunity to get started with the implementation, as you've witnessed, juggling multiple priorities made it challenging at times, and your patience, your guidance, and obviously your technical expertise made it incredibly easy, because I could tell on the back end, how complex it is. But not for a moment I had a doubt in my mind that this is the right partnership. And so again, I'm really grateful to you.
Thank you. Thank you again for the kind words.
No, of course, it's true. I'm not getting paid for that.
Okay, so when we talk about the implementation itself, we've discussed multiple options. Salesforce has basically huge capabilities to serve any type of business or nonprofit in your case. So can you tell me what features you actually like in the implementation, like what we've done so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to disclose, I don't have your technical capabilities and knowledge, so you'll have to correct me on that. But from the beginning, the biggest selling point for us as an organization to get started as this on this journey, on this project, was the fact that our internal processes were going to get more structured, and obviously the capabilities of data management and analytics, most of all, because again, up until a few months ago, when you and I got started on the implementation of Salesforce NPS, we were handling all these reports via Excel and Google Docs and whatnot, multiple platforms, and it was a challenge, right? Pulling data from one location to another. So for us, organizing and analyzing and finding ways to process that data, mine it, and then analyze it and process it in a structured way made a huge difference. Of course, donor management and campaign management is a huge component as a nonprofit. Staying on top of that, it's critical, because the communication between our donors and ourselves, it's pretty much the lifeblood of a nonprofit. So this is just kind of the highlight of where the needs were. And I'm really pleased to say again, back to you, Vessi, that you made it incredibly easy, and for which I'm really grateful to you.
Thank you. Well, from the start, because NPSP is a very complex product of Salesforce, and I did worry a bit that we needed to kind of streamline all of the processes.
Didn't we?
Yeah, didn't we? And that was a lot of work before we actually started the implementation. But what's most important is, I think right now Salesforce should be able to tell a user a specific story, meaning how do we start with campaign management for donors, which is very important for every nonprofit out there. Then how do we measure success on our campaigns? And then, each and every person that is engaged in your program, which I believe is really amazing. The program really seems very interesting. All of the sessions that you provide to nonprofits, I believe, are very, very important, and they speak for themselves. And also then from that, we managed to get all the data in, which I think is very important, and have one single source of truth for BIH, which is really a good thing to have. And I'm hoping that in time it will save you more time, so you'll be able to actually spread more of the good work that you actually do in the community. So when it comes to the future, so how do you envision you working with the system? How is it so far? Tell me a bit more about that.
Well, quickly to touch on the future, as I mentioned, we're a small organization with very, very ambitious plans for the future. We want to, within the next couple of years, we'd like to expand our geographic footprint outside of Silicon Valley. We're aiming at East Coast, either Boston, New York, and Europe. London is a location that we're focusing on and having discussions with members of the diaspora. So to us, growth comes in multiple forms, if you will. Growth geographically, this obviously means growth of the team and expanding our resources. So I'm really confident going through this process, setting up the right data analytics and management and everything, streamlining the internal back end of BIH, if you will, as an organization. It gives me great confidence that we are set up for success, because we have the right partners who are supporting us and who are there to support our growth. So I'm very excited about the future.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that it will enable you, actually, because in order to grow, that system needs to be serving a specific purpose, which in your case was kind of getting all the data together, all the information that you needed. And like I said before, it should save some time, of course, and automate a lot of the business processes that were siloed in different systems, or even in Excel sheets or Google Drive somewhere. So hopefully it will enable you to drive that growth faster, because like I said, the values that you bring to the table as an organization are quite close to us as a company. And I'm really hoping that Salesforce will enable you to basically expand. Talking about the implementation process, genuinely, at Resolute, we have experience with large and mid-size and also small projects, but how we approach a Salesforce implementation is usually we do first the process mapping. There is that part where we have meetings to dig out as much information as possible, which is usually a very interesting process. Then we do the implementation and testing, where it's actually us bridging the gap between how you envision the system and how we have implemented it. We do some fixes usually, sometimes at that point. And then we do a very large portion of a user adoption and training period. So we gather with all the people that will be users, people of your board of directors, basically, who will be using the system. And we provide an extensive training for them so that we ensure that user adoption is at the necessary level, because as you know, Polly, it's a complicated system and it takes some time to get used to. So I think that was a very interesting part for me, simply because I've never worked with a nonprofit such as yours, which, like we said, it's a huge pleasure for me to be doing that.
You know, the fact that all of these processes and all of the fragmented data analytics and internal challenges that we had, having access to the right data at the right moment at this, pretty much at the fingertips, was a challenge that kept me up at night. As someone who was, I had to at times be able to prepare reports for the board meeting in a matter of hours, and sometimes, gathering data, analyzing it, and all of that was a challenge. Same thing with running end of year campaigns or annual campaigns throughout the year also was a challenge, because we didn't have the right setup. And so I'm very confident again that with the help of Salesforce and your guidance and the backend support that you've already initiated in terms of the the videos and the training sessions and all of that, again, I'm beyond impressed by the professionalism and the technical capabilities of you and your team. So thank you for that.
Well, for us at Resolute, it's not just about selling Salesforce or doing an implementation and leaving it at that. It's a continuous consulting practice that we actually do and we're very proud of. And the idea is that we try to gather as much information as possible and see what would fit for that specific customer or organization. And it's a very specific approach, very personal, I would say. And it's very important for us to have this level of user adoption and to be able to solve the problems that the organization is facing going forward, enabling them to achieve even greater results and accelerating their goals. So what do you find most valuable about our partnership?
Well, there are so many aspects of this entire journey that we walked with you and your team in the last few months. But if I have to highlight, the most important part is the fact that your consultative, communicative style, the empathy that you exude in your everyday conversation and interaction with our team has given me a tremendous amount of confidence that we found the right partner, and we found a partner for life. As I mentioned earlier, BIH has extremely ambitious goals for growth, geographic expansion, team growth. We want to continue increasing our impact over the local ecosystem, not just in Bulgaria, but in Eastern Europe. We also are very ambitious to place Bulgaria on the global map of innovation. And with partners such as Resolute, we have the confidence that we're going to get there in a very systematic and successful, and will be successful in the future. So thank you for that.
Thank you. So can you tell us, if a nonprofit comes to you and they're considering Salesforce implementation, what would you say to them?
Get in touch with Vessi from Resolute. And if you want to have a seamless transition and implementation, this is the gal, this is the team. And again, thanks for all the support.
Thank you so much for the kind words. Okay.
I mean it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this conversation, Polly. It has been a pleasure having you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks again for your time and your team, for the dedication and for the incredible impact that you created for us. I feel much relieved and excited about the future that lies ahead of us. We have a ton of work to do to support the needs and the ambitions of these aspiring entrepreneurs. And I'm really excited and grateful to you guys, and really happy that we're getting to walk the walk and go through this journey with partners like you. So thank you.
Thank you again.